Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Project Freelance. I kind of want to get a little ditty, a little intro tune for this podcast. If you are somebody who makes like jingles, you should make a jingle for this, and I'll put it into the podcast, and it'll be the intro jingle to the podcast. Welcome back to Project Freelance this week, guys. My name is Kay. I am your host. If you don't know who I am, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at KAnagonio. I know you don't know how to spell my last name. It's okay. It's going to be down in the description. So this week on Project Freelance, I have Nicholas Mishko. And I met Nick last year at Launch Music Conference. If you don't know what Launch is, you should definitely check it out. It's an industry conference where artists, industry heads, label heads, management, all kinds of people come together on a level playing field where you can ask them questions face to face. You can get advice, you can network, you can market your band, and you can actually enter your band to play at Launch Music Conference. Let's be frank, I need more help with my things, and if I can create a podcast that will also help others, then why not make it? You know what I mean? It seems like a no-brainer. So Nick actually started out in the licensing sector of music with some major labels before he went independent into management with 10and8management. And so I wanted to pick his brain. I wanted to ask him, like, what are the importance of licensing and what are royalties? How do you collect your royalties? Basically, I wanted to ask him the things that nobody tells you when you start making music. Everything we do, you just kind of figure out along the way. So there's a lot in this podcast that I didn't know that I gained from this podcast and since have implemented, and we literally recorded 3 days ago. So currently what I'm doing is merging all of my content to fewer social media accounts so that I'm not, one, making a fuck ton of work for myself, and two, everything is consolidated into one so that I'm not splitting a fan base, because I'm sure some people know that I make music and other people know that I make YouTube videos and others know that I make, whatever. I'm a photographer, filmmaker. So Nick and I spoke in this podcast and after we spoke for about an hour and a half off of the podcast about ways that I could implement these changes. So if you guys are in a band, if you are thinking about starting a band, or if you're just a fan of music and you want to know how the industry works, this is the podcast for you. If you guys want to support Project Freelance, you can do so. There's quite a few links down below. Some things for adulting if you need help tracking your mileage, if you are trying to figure out how to keep your expenses in order. There's like a lot of stuff down there. If you want to donate to the podcast in PayPal or cryptocurrency, you can do that down below. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I'm going to give this away to Mishko now. But if you want to check out my band, Chasing Satellites, we have a debut EP out now. So I'm going to stop talking and let Nick take it away.
Well, my name is Nicholas Mishko. I'm a music manager. I own 10and8management agency. I've been in the music business now going on, almost 11 years now. So looking forward to this conversation, looking forward to going over my history, things I do on a day-to-day basis. And, I'm an open book. I tell everyone that. No secrets.
Cool. So tell me how you got started in the music scene, not even just management, but prior to that, what brought you to music?
When I was in high school going into college, there's, college is here. What am I going to do with my life? I love music, but I didn't know you could do that as a career. So I heard some people talking that, one kid wanted to go to be a music producer and some other kids wanted to work at some music studios. I'm like, well, shit, I love music. Let me check that out. And as I got more and more dove into like, you can have this as a career, I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. So I went to college. I went to college for media communications, Youngstown State University. Did some shows in college, worked at the production team in college. God, this was like 2002 to 2003. Not to make me sound like a dinosaur. So internship came. So this is when it all starts getting really good. So internship came that I needed to get one to graduate. And all these music industry books, they're reading they're telling me this is what you need to get into the music industry as official. So, back in the day, there was no Facebook. There was no going online or putting a post that you could get an internship. So I went through 300 plus CDs. I opened them up, and inside, okay, liner notes. Okay, Atlantic Records, Sony, Universal. I went through and I made a list, and I called every single one of them motherfuckers and emailed. Over three. Yeah, I was to say it's 300 to 400, and then I got an internship at Rockridge Music for the summer of 2008. Worked with artists like Ernie Halter, Real Big Fish, a lot of ska bands. It was really cool, and that solidified. It was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. So internship's over. Fall of 2008. I got to I graduated college. I got to get a big boy job to pay the bills because I'm living on the East Coast, and my life savings is starting to deplete. So again, I went through all my notes. I emailed everyone that I met, everyone that I came across that summer, and I put in another 300 to 400 resumes, and then I got an interview at APCO Music and Records, and that was the publisher and the record label for the Rolling Stones and the Who and a lot of old school cats. So got a job there working in licensing, publishing, artist and songwriter royalties. Did that for 5 years, and it was great company. There's a lot of history in the music industry with APCO, but when I got into this business, I wanted to work with artists. I love dealing with them on a day to day. So, long story short, I took on one artist as like a side hustle, and then one turned into three turned into five, and I was like, I'm onto something here. So I left my very well cushy, all benefits, tuition reimbursement, you name it, 4 weeks off a year, 10 to 6 job at the major label to launch 10and8 Management Agency. And I cashed out a 401k. I had a laptop and like 2 or 3 clients. And then, 6 years later, I'm still doing it full time. I'm blessed to be able to do this full time. But that joke of like a startup company takes 5 years to like not have it crash and burn. That's true. That's so true. So I mean, not saying we're rolling in millions. I'm blessed to be able to do this full time. Have done this full time for 6 years. But yeah, now we got 17 artists. I've got a staff of 5. I'm here in my offices now. I do this 24/7, and like I'm blessed. It's been quite the 11-year journey. So in a nutshell, I kind of divide my career up into this last 6 years of being a manager, and then before that working in corporate, a record label, major label, licensing major artists. So, and here we are today.
When you were working with the label, you got a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge to things that artists need to know that they don't really know or understand. Like, for example, I want you to talk about like licensing and royalties and how that works, because like, I'm an artist, but like I'm not in the industry. I'm doing everything by myself. A lot of people that are listening to this podcast are doing everything DIY. So tell me what royalties are, what licensing is, how to like start doing that, if there's like outlets where you can do it online, things like that, and what's the importance of licensing and royalties.
Okay, so because I did this so long, it's kind of like my ace in the hole. I had to audit record label statements, do your BMI, your ASCAP. The difference between now and back then was, like it would be Mick Jagger's BMI statements, and they'd be like this fucking big, and it'd be like $4 million. Yeah, I was 22 years old, and every 6 months I had to go deliver the check to their management, like 2 big briefcases and 3 checks to Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, and it was like surreal. But not that I'm saying that some artists, they don't do well. It's just it's not. It comes down to, it pisses me off when people say there's no money in music. I've seen it. You just have to get over that hump. There's certain artists, they are making so much money on just, there's your streaming, I've seen artists, I've seen $500,000 licensing deals, and it's a couple of pieces. Yeah, I know, right? Give me like 100,000, I'll be cool. So anyways, because I did that so long and at a major label, I have that background. I when I pick up an artist who's been touring, 3 to 4 years and they've been grinding away, I can say, look, you got money owed you. And they're like, okay, Mr. Wizard, where'd this come from? And I break it down like, you got your mechanical royalties, you got your live performance royalties. There's 32 different ways you can license a song. It's just a matter of how it's knowing how to obtain it. Like, most people don't know. Like, I always say this because when people tell me, they're like, well, I don't really need management. I'm DIY. I DIY till I'm like, okay, cool. Like, so I'll get to talking to like a band or an artist and I say, okay, cool. You're on Spotify, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you know how you get paid on Spotify? And they're like, I'm like, do you know that you're supposed to actually get paid twice on Spotify? And they're like, I'm like, do you know how to collect that? And they're like, no. I'm like, that's why you need management. That's why you need a team behind you. Know how to collect your Spotify, your YouTube, your, everything. So it's very important. Everyone's got bills. You need paid.
Right? Serious. So, because I'm on Spotify, what are you talking about? I can get paid twice for Spotify? What?
Okay. So you're supposed to get paid. There's your songwriter and there's your publishing, and you can actually go. There's a company I highly recommend. Not to plug them because I'm nowhere associated with them, but I've used them and they work out great. Songtrust.com. They will actually help you collect your publishing money from Spotify that a lot of artists don't know that they're owed, and they also register your songs with every society in the world. So, like, if you to sum it up, if like you drop all these songs, you want to make sure you're covered like 99%. You do like ASCAP or BMI, which I'm sure you're on. And if you're not, you should be on, and I can help you get that on. So ASCAP or BMI, do your song trust, and there's another company called Sound Exchange, which that's for your digital online transmissions as an artist, not a songwriter. A lot of not to make this sound boring, but there's a lot of.
No, this is great. I'm like, tell me I'm writing notes. Tell me everything.
It's a lot of musicians. Oh, I just want to make music. I get that. I understand that. But there's you got to think of it as like two sides of a coin. You got your master and your composition, and you can get paid on both sides. It's like if you have think of a movie. Last movie you just seen, and actually let's think of the new Sons of Anarchy spinoff that's coming up, the Mayans. Okay, you see all the Rolling Stones in all the trailers and stuff. Well, there's a couple of licenses there. You had to when they use the Rolling Stones' music, there's the master because you're using the voice, and then there's also the composition for the songwriters. So there's two parts there. You could be very lucrative as a songwriter. It's just, there's a lot of money out there, and especially in that's actually what our company's been focusing on a lot more lately, is because it's, touring's still a number one in my heart, but like, it's just, I see some of these, you don't have to deal with promoters, you deal with music supervisors and the check clears, so, but yeah, royalties are very important. Getting your shit, and actually getting your shit straight before it blows up, because it's like, then you got all this paperwork out of the way, and it's not that hard. It's a lot of it's just intimidating for an artist.
With like the Rolling Stones, for example, it's just their music. They're not them in the video, right?
Correct, because that's a whole different license. Because
yeah, so that's what I want to talk about. So I did this documentary about Andy Biersack's bodyguard Yanni, and right now we were like ready to like release it and everything, but his management came back and they were like, hey, if you're making money off of this, we have to talk, blah, 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 because the band, even though Andy and Yanni signed off of like the documentary, because there's clips of the band members, even if it's like YouTube clips from back in the day, like the band has like, they need royalties for having their faces in the thing. So tell me how that works. And like, it's such a crazy concept to me. And like, I've never thought about it. But I guess it's kind of like, if you're like, acting in something, it's kind of similar.
It's the same. It's let me give you a good example. I'm not going to name names out of respect, but let's say you've seen the Grammys here and there, right? You watch it on TV, and you know how they have these are the industry people that passed away. throughout the year, or they'll do a memorial, or they'll do a dedication. So all those pictures that you see up on the screen on stage that they put on TV, they got to get those those images licensed to be able to be used. Same thing in what you're doing. So that's why they're asking you to do licenses and stuff like that. But if you need a lawyer, I can hook you up with one. I got a great one in New York. It's shout out to Cassandra. So,
dude, it's crazy because like these are the things that like as a filmmaker, they didn't teach me that in film school for my bachelor's degree. Like there's no like there's guidebooks, there's like filmmakers guidebooks, that kind of stuff, but like this is the kind of shit people don't tell you that like is so specific, and you need to know these things. Like, especially DIY, if you don't have a manager, there's a lot of bands, a lot of people that are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, oh shit, like I didn't realize that I have to license my stuff and like royalty, like all that. So it's crazy.
Oh yeah, clearance with everything. Even photography, a lot of people don't realize how serious like the shit's taken. As you take a picture and a band uses it and they don't clear it with you. You have grounds for. I mean, again, you got to spend money for lawyers and legal fees and all that, but like a judge will listen to you, and a lot of people, they don't realize that you gotta. Most things, if you use somebody else's intellectual property, whether it's audio, visual, imagery, you got to get it all cleared. And it's at the end of the day, no one wants sued. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I feel like people think they can get away with things until they can't get away with things. And I mean, I'm also like guilty of that. But I'm definitely like, I've learned from it before it actually happened. So for example, I took a bunch of pictures of the Griffith Observatory here in Los Angeles, and it's a public space, like it's, like owned by like the state of California or whatever. But I sell my photography as stock footage and stock photos for like companies to buy because it's another source of income. I already took the photo, might as well sell the photo. So obviously I was like trying to find a license online for the Griffith Observatory or any information about it. And I ended up having to call them, and they said like, oh, we can't, like you can't sell it, basically. Like they were like, you have to go through the city and they're not going to let you do it either.
That's surprising that you'd actually have to. Yeah, I've got a legal friend I could hook you up with to like, if you got any, yeah, let's do that. We'll do that off camera. So, yeah. So, but anyways, so yeah, it's very important. And it's a lot of times, I get a lot of artists that just want to pick my brain. I'm like, well, how long you been touring? And they'll be like, oh, we've been touring for 10 years. Well, how many shows you do a year? About 200. And I'm like, me, because I'm a business dork and I love numbers. I'm just like calculating. I'm like, yeah, you got like about 3,000 in performance royalties. And they're like, what? And like with BMI and ASCAP, there's so many artists and stuff. Like they only go back like a year and a half. And you got to dig for like, there's a lot of artists that come to me and I tell them like, well, these last 4 years, kiss those goodbye. You're not going to get paid on those. It's actually really simple. So, what you do is you bring it up on your phone, and there's an app with BMI, and as soon as you're done with your performance, you just plug in your set list, and then that's it. And you do that it takes like 30 seconds, and like boom, you just made $10. So if you do 100 shows, that's $1,000. Yeah.
Wow. And like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, what?
yeah. It's
and they made an app for it. That's so convenient.
So we're right now we're in my office, and this is like, I've got this computer, this laptop here. I joke. My artists who come to visit me, they joke that this is like the operator station from the Matrix, because it's, I used to work from home, but I have to have an office now because, I have a son now, and I'm a loud talker, and I work a lot of late nights. So it's just nice to have my own separate. We're actually getting bigger offices near Cleveland here in the next month. So I'll have to have you come to my place. So
you'll CLE till I die.
So, but, so yeah, it's, royalties are very important. It's a lot. It's the non-sexy part of the music industry. But at the end of the day, you got to get paid. You got to get things cleared. So And that's the, a little bit in a huge pie of what it takes to be an artist or a creative person. So
So, BMI and what's the other one?
there's
ASCAP?
BMI, ASCAP, and there's actually a third one, SESAC. But they're invite only. So, but BMI and ASCAP is like what 95% of the artists I know go through. They're both great companies. They're just competitors. So I'm not going to say one's better than the other. But they're both great companies.
Sure. So, can you go through both companies, or do you have to pick one?
No, you cannot be registered for both. You have to pick one. Um,
So you can't go around and find a loophole, is what
no,
you're
it
saying.
just would make things a lot more difficult. You'd make your own life miserable. So yeah, just pick one. And they actually they play well with each other. So if you have, let's say you do a co-write, and this artist is with ASCAP, you're with BMI, or vice versa, they'll notify each other. You'll still get paid. Yeah, so it doesn't matter who you're with as long as you're rep by someone. You're not. It doesn't matter who, which side. So
So when you go onto those apps and those websites, I know you don't work for them, but just because like it's on my mind and I'm curious, how do you like input your music? Like, do you enter your like USCE code? Like, how do you
oh,
register
it's
it?
very simple. So you sign up and you just you give them your personal information, just like any account, and that takes 3 or 4 days to get processed, and then boom, you have your account. You go in, you plug in. This is a song. This is how long it is. Who wrote it? You can provide an ISRC code, International Standard Recording Code. Not needed. Is it on a
Does it
label?
help though?
More information, the better. So that way, in case something happens, you're covered. But yeah, it's very simple. You can get a whole kit. You can get 30 songs done, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. All it is just, and once you register your songs once, you don't have to do it again. So, and what's cool is like if you go on tour and you can plug in your set list. So you say, let's say you pick 10 songs out of your 30 song catalog. I'm just throwing numbers out there. It's really easy to just save it on your phone and then, oh, I did this show, boom, entered, just got paid. So, but it'll come next quarter. But like, if you do, like I said, you do 30 shows, you're making $10 a show, additional songwriter royalties. It's $300. I mean, hell, $300. I mean, everyone can use some extra money.
Like it's literally it's not free $300 because you put that money into your
Yeah,
music, you
your work. Yeah,
invested, but like it's like free. It just seems it's like free money. It's
yeah.
like
Well,
why wouldn't you collect it?
and so where this money comes from, um, to sum it up in a nutshell. So when you play at a music venue, they have to have a blanket license to play music at the establishment. You're public performing. So so let's just say bar XYZ. They want to have live music. They got to have an ASCAP and BMI license. So they pay these yearly fees, and then you play there. Your money comes from that little pool where they paid into. So that's where this money comes from. It just doesn't come from,
Wow.
yeah. So
Thin air
yeah,
just
I
appears,
wish.
money out
Yeah.
of nowhere. Yeah, right. How amazing would that be? So, how do we get paid for streams? Where does that money come from? Like on Spotify, iTunes, I know people pay for their like subscription, but they're only paying $10 a month. So, how am I getting paid for those? You know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah.
does that work?
So they're paid through. There is some that are paid through ASCAP and BMI, but a majority of it's paid through a company called Harry Fox Agency, and they do mechanical licenses. They do Spotify, things like that. But what I recommend to do is go through that company's Song Trust. Again, I'm not plugged. I'm not associated with them. It helps you get paid. So
Hopefully, I can get a sponsor for this if you guys.
we'll get in a sponsor. We'll get, me, Kay.
I do.
Yeah, I'm all about that sponsorship game. So we'll talk about all that as much as you want. So
Yes.
everything, yeah. So yeah, you go in, you sign up, and they'll actually notify Harry Fox Agency. They'll notify all these collection agencies that they're administrating your rights, and they'll collect on your behalf, and you get paid. And it's I believe it's like, I know that it's like 0.0001 whatever for per stream. But in essence, it's like $1,000. It's like $1 for every 1,000 streams, something like that.
It's the same kind of thing with YouTube. It's about $1 for every 1,000 streams.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, you can make a lot of money with just streaming, and if you have a song that blows up, you got your BMI. If you got a song that blows up and it goes on the radio, you have your BMI. You got you put on YouTube. You can do ads. Like if you got hits, you don't really need to tour because you're going to be making a lot of money in other places. And then it's almost like I'd say a genre that's doing it right now, like the best would be hip hop, because they drop a song, they blow up their image for Instagram, they hype it up, they hype it up, they hype it up, they chart, they're making money on streams, they get in some licensing deals, and by the time their first tour, they're not playing some club, they're opening for a bigger artist who also is on fire right now, and they're playing stadiums, they're playing high cap theaters. So I always tell my artists, it's, in my opinion, I feel like hip hop, they do the best at marketing their music. I know I'm going to catch some hate for this, but like, there's some artists out there that they troll, but they're also, they're on their 9th song right now, and it's on Billboard, and like, yeah, we don't have to name.
I mean, look at these YouTubers looking at making dumbass songs, but like, they have the fan base. The fan base is going to check it out, even if it sucks.
Yeah.
Even just to make fun of it, like you said. Even if they're just trolling, like, we still get paid for that shit. So, like, anytime I get hate on anything,
It's
I'm
marketing.
like, yo, thanks for the view, bro. Like,
Yeah.
cheers. A lot of... I guess it's more of like a local band kind of thing. Like if your like first show is like that kind of show, if you've like never played a show and your first one's gigantic, a lot of times people get a lot of hate because like you didn't cut your teeth, you didn't earn your spot like in the scene, yeah. But I mean, like, it's a thing that happens. You know what I'm saying?
It is. I hate that because it's everyone's like, again, there's nothing wrong with supporting your local scene. Trust me, like, say it's a Friday, I'm probably going to go catch a local show. I love that. I love from the smallest shows to the biggest shows. And, support your local. But again, we don't work in the scene industry. We work in the music industry. It's, yes, your goal should be not only just to take over your local scene, you should be, you want to take over the world. Like I always tell artists, like, think bigger. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And you got to be pragmatic. And I tell my artists and my clients, if they're here and the idea is here, you're not going to get from here to here overnight. There might be 10 steps. And from step 1 to step 2 might take a month. 2, 3, 4, 5 may take a year. You got to do things in steps. And yeah, but going back to your question, I don't understand that as like,
like, why would you make someone feel bad for being successful?
Yeah, or they'll say, oh, they only got big because such and such put them on, or they only got big because they did that cover by that country artist. I'm like, it all helps.
I mean, yeah.
I'm talking about I Prevail. It's
definitely.
Yeah.
They are, no, seriously, like last summer on Warped Tour, like, oh my God, dude, the biggest crowds. It was unreal.
Yeah. And like I tell people all the time, I defend, I don't work with I Prevail, or I don't work with, I defend artists I don't work with, and I say, you don't know what happened behind the scenes. Or they'll say, oh, such and such got signed to this label because they know. I'm like, you don't know the behind the workings of what happened. You don't see the consistently. Yes, maybe that helped. Maybe it helped push them. But you never know what really went on behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in good music trumps all, and good music is going to be above all, and that's going to be, it outlives us all, and that's what people care about. Because I think it's very rampant in, I guess, people who follow the music scene. But your everyday person that just goes to their job, listens to the radio, they don't care about none of that shit. They just want to hear a good song. And just put out good music and just you want everyone to be your fan. That's so. Yeah, I could rant on and on about people throwing shit. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about like how to market your band on social media, like how to, like you said, like blow up your social
Okay.
media.
Well, first things first is I feel you got to put out good content. That's everyone's on social media. Let's
Literally everyone.
yeah. I'm not gonna say, oh, you got to be your social media game strong. Those aren't answers. I I tell my artists, people are more visual these days. They like seeing cool shit. They like seeing Dude Perfect. They like seeing, I tell my artists, it's, what's your side hobbies? What are you into? You like tattoos? You into BMX? You like dirt bikes? Make some videos about that shit, and then like incorporate your music into that. It's called branding. Put it on YouTube, and then let's say you get 5,000. Say you get 5,000 BMX people that oh, check out this. Oh, he's in a band. And it's like, you just got new fans. Market, don't go online and say, we have a show and like add. I catch a lot of hate because I always tell people on Facebook, the time you're spending adding people for Facebook likes, you could be doing some cool shit. Email some press. There's so many other forward thinking things you could do. Oh, I don't know what to post. Okay, what do you like? Are you a good cook? You just made this amazing steak or this kick-ass macaroni and cheese. Film it, put it on Instagram, and then put the full video on YouTube. Get your fans, and then say, oh, and at the end of it, you know what? This mac and cheese would go amazing with my new song. Or it's like, dude, it's like get creative. Like, oh my god, like I like 5,000. I probably like 5,000 plus band pages. I don't go to any Facebook page. I'm not just like, if it pops up my feed, cool. But like this whole just you got to put some effort into things. Did you see the firemen and the EMT drivers when they were challenging each other to lip sync contests?
Dude, anything and everything fireman related, like, yes. I have a song called Fireproof. All the money is going to like the fucking wildfire firefighter, like, charity.
Yeah,
So yes, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
I was joking that you have these EMT drivers, these firemen, these police officers doing more effort in their creative videos. I'm like God, how many times can I see 5 people all wearing black? You got them the same smoke and mirrors, and then a B-roll with their music video. Like, come on, it's like, or they're in a warehouse or a field, or like it's flashing lights, and some of my artists do this as well too, and they're gonna give me shit, but like go rent a plane and jump out of it and have that be and play some instruments in the air, do some epic shit.
Because why the fuck not?
Yeah, like it's. One of my artists, we have a Spirit Airlines partnership. Shout out to Spirit Airlines, but
we will talk about that.
We will. So, they want to use an airplane hangar. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Be epic. The people want to see this stuff. They don't want to just see. It's. I wish it was all just about. I do say it's about good music, which is true, but this is branding. You gotta. It's like when Ferrari.
We've gone the next step.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like your song is a Ferrari. Okay, marketing is driving it around and doing some cool shit with it. If you just you built this amazing, sexy, beautiful Ferrari of a song, and if you don't market it and do some cool shit with it, you essentially parked it in a garage and it's gonna collect dust and nobody's gonna see it. That's how you have to think of marketing. And when I say it like that, they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, it's you gotta be creative. Like, come on, it's I can preach all day about this stuff. So,
I mean, like this, like for example, like this kind of happened just by, I don't know, because that's the way the universe works. But when I did my first like proper band shoot was with The World Over. They're out of LA. And they were like, hey, we need photos. We want Los Angeles to be in the background. And I was like, I know a spot. So I took them to like this abandoned train and they're like, just did some cool shit. And ever since that shoot, every single like music shoot, whether it's for my personal stuff or for other people, is at abandoned places. Cause like I love going to them, so why the fuck not? And then, you know, that makes for a cool behind the scenes video as well.
Yeah. You should have, and that's additional. People like seeing cool shit. They like seeing what the artists are about. They like seeing, you know, they like playing video games too. They like playing World of Warcraft. You know, they're into Harry Potter. They're a dork just like I am. Like, people like seeing that shit. It's so much more than just, you know, it goes back to the car, you know, comparison. You know, now people want to see the interior of it. They want to see what's under the hood. That's the behind the scenes. Think like that. So
you don't have to have a big budget for these things. I mean, like, this is all DIY. There's stuff out there. If you don't know how to make promotional, like, cool graphic designs with words and shit, there are apps for that. Like, Adobe has Adobe Spark. If you guys like editing software and things, look in the description. But yeah, so they have like this thing called Adobe Spark, and it's literally pre-made, like, new school, like, cool, like, really cool and flashy templates. And all you have to do is go through, and it's simple. It's not like Lightroom or Photoshop where you have to know what you're doing. Like, it's very, like, user friendly. So there are things out there, and there's YouTube tutorials. Like, everything's accessible, so I feel like there's no excuses anymore.
No, there's not. It's I don't do well with excuses, because you got to look, like, if you want that life that others can't have, you got to be willing to do the things that they won't do now. And I don't put up with excuses, because there are, you know, we're 10and8 management, we're doing well, but to me, like, a goal is like, okay, I want the next podcast with me and Kay. Like, I want it to be on my private helicopter. You know, like, I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. Like, and it's
that'd be a very loud podcast,
you know, or we could, like, have it be on location. You know, we could do, you know, on a rooftop or something like that.
Sounds good. That would be so tight.
That would. So, but you know, I tell my artists, like, you gotta work. You've got to. You know, you want this to be your everyday. You have to make this your everyday. And if, you know, I get a lot of artists, they're like, oh, I can't. You know, I've been at my company job for, you know, 5 years, and I've got a great, you know, this isn't your traditional way of, like, you got to suffer, you got to sacrifice. There's like maybe less than 1% that, yes, there are some artists out there, they had their great job, and then when music took off, then they quit, and they went from being comfortable to having a comfortable career. That is so little. Most artists out there have eaten shit. Like, yeah, because I get it a lot of, like, people saying, well, what about so and so? Well, that's not you. That's them. Don't worry about it. You need to have tunnel vision. You need to focus on your own career, because you may be right. They may have done this, and that. But at the end of the day, you're sitting at home on your couch, on the laptop, looking at their career, and when you should be in the seat with them. So, yeah, I don't put up with the excuses at all.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about sponsorships.
Okay.
Let's talk about that world, your favorite, my favorite. Yeah. This is how sponsorships are how we as artists make more money for being us, by promoting other people's shit.
Yeah, well,
so let's go for it.
Okay, so I'm kind of becoming known as, like,
you're the spirit guy.
Yeah, well, there's that, and I got a lot of other things in the works too. I look at it, first off, I don't ever call them sponsorships, even though that's what they are. It's brand partnerships. That's like later today at 4:30, I've actually got a call with a winery. We're going to do some partnerships with them, and it's
who would have thought?
You know, we've done partnerships with Budweiser, Fireball, Van Shoes, a lot of breweries, clothing companies. We did a thing with Harley Davidson. It's brand partnerships. Let me just back up a little bit, because I look at it as, like, if 50 Cent and Diddy can do this shit, why can't we? You just got to be a little more creative when you're not as big as them. So
Because
people.
they started out at 0 too, guys.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
started
yeah.
out in the fucking
So
streets, like shooting, like in
it's
shootings and
yeah,
shit. So like, come on.
yeah. Persistence definitely does pay. So I'll get to Spirit Airlines here in a sec, but like a lot of what yeah, yes, you got some companies out there that do you sign up and you win. Like there's that Taco Bell feed the beat.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. If you guys don't know about that, I've talked about it before. It's on the episode with Ryan Cunningham, we talk about that if you guys want to check it
I
out.
think they do it like 3 or 4 times a year. You throw your name in the hat and you get a $500 Taco Bell gift card. Great. I highly recommend every band. If you don't enter, you don't win. Or you don't enter, you can't win. But so I'll have the conversation. I have conversations with all my artists, and we game plan. And when we get to the, I always tell them when I talk sponsorships and partnerships, this isn't Christmas shopping. This is what do you need, not what you want. Think it's
Wow.
yeah. Everybody wants that new orange amp. Or everybody wants that new Dean guitar. Or everybody wants but do you need it? You got a great guitar. What you need is strings. You've got to bring, yes, everybody would want a brand new drum kit, but do you need it? No, you need cymbals. You need sticks. Shit, you got to be so. No, because everybody who want a new drum kit? Who wouldn't want a new guitar? So you gotta be very pragmatic, and you gotta. So it's what you can provide versus what they can provide for you as well too, and it's building relationships. That's why I highly recommend everyone go to NAMM. That's in January. Have you ever been, Kay? You've been. Okay.
I've been. I actually filmed at NAMM for TRX Cymbals one year. It was awesome. Nice. Like he hit me up. He was like, "Yo, like, do you want to go to NAMM and film for me?" And I was like, yeah." So I mean, like, NAMM, you guys, it's all artists. It's all music artists, reps, man. Like
it's.
Everybody and anybody in the industry, like you could just, like, I just ran into Green Day at NAMM. I ran into like 21 Pilots at NAMM. Like they're just there, just walking around looking for the same shit you're looking for: endorsements, sponsorships, or brand partnerships.
It's good to rub elbows. It's good to have, people always ask, "Oh, is it worth it?" It's what you make it. I mean, you and I, we hooked up at a launch music conference. Shout out to Jeremy and the whole CI team.
Yes, 10 years of launch, you guys. Yeah. Amazing.
This next year will be my 4th year there. I go every year because it's you're making a presence. It's good to see. I mean, everyone's. How it is with the music. Everyone's on Facebook. That's like our LinkedIn. If you're not in the music industry, little tip is that people don't use LinkedIn. Nothing wrong with that.
No one uses LinkedIn.
They use Facebook. And
never have I gotten a gig from LinkedIn, guys. Just friend requests.
That's true. If you're in the music industry, you're going to get a Facebook message. You're not going to get a LinkedIn message. So
because fans are not on LinkedIn, you guys.
There you go. So the point of us with Facebook is, you're in the music industry, you're going to get hit up with all these people on Facebook. So you don't really get to meet them, but going to these conferences, going to these, you get to do the plus not only that, not everyone can go to these. So you want to stand out, go to these conferences. And with 10and8management, we're starting to have this thing of we roll in big groups. Launch, I think we brought like 26 people. NAMM, it was 30 people I brought to NAMM, and that's staff and artists. And actually for 2019, we're going to do, I believe the final list, it was like 51 people. And yeah, we do big, we roll big. So, but yeah, sponsorships and endorsements. So NAMM, it's great but again, I tell bands, don't think that you can reach out to these companies. They're just going to give you free shit. They don't know you. They don't know what you're about. You have to sell yourself. You have to know these. You have to have great relationships. You have to build these relationships. So I tell my artists, what do they need? Okay, they need guitar strings. Okay, are you on tour? Because a company's not just going to give you a discount or free strings if you're not on tour promoting their product. You gotta think, what can I give them versus what they can give us? So, but yeah, we've done Budweiser. Fireball's been very good to us for our college shows. Shout out to Fireball. They've done really good. Spirit Airlines, they've been very good. to us. They fly a lot of our artists everywhere in North and South America. I got some things in the works with some car rental companies and some hotel companies. But again, these relationships and deals don't happen overnight. We're talking 6+ months up to a year. I got one hotel deal I've been chasing, God, for 14 months now. And it's just got to keep chipping away. And then before you know it, you got that deal and it cuts costs because, there's 17 artists on our roster and we're growing. We need to save money everywhere we can. So it's how can they help us and how can we help them? So, but as far as the sponsors and endorsements, I'm sure you got a million questions as far as, you mentioned Spirit. So what do you want to know about Spirit?
Yeah.
So
my main question, no matter what we're talking about, is how did you make those relationships? Because like you said, you don't just get a sponsorship. You have to build a relationship with that person, that company. Yeah. So first of all, how did you reach out to these people?
Okay.
How did you choose what you needed, because you have to prioritize what you need as well.
Because time is limited, and before you know it, you could be 18 hours behind the computer or 3 days behind the computer and then realize you haven't slept. So you know how those goes. So
yep.
Again, it comes down to what you need. We found that a lot of our artists were traveling, and I said, well, what would be dope? What do we need? Well, airlines. I think I can make it happen. And it's just reaching out. You'd be surprised. I don't know if I want to drop this little secret, but if you tweet companies.
Give the best information for free.
Okay. If you tweet companies, you, believe it or not, you can get through to a lot of people. And when I say tweet, I'm not saying because Twitter seems to be the place where you bash companies now. But if you hit them up and be like, hey, we're trying to get a hold of your artist rep, or could you point us in the direction of your brand marketing director, or what's an email that we could send you our information? And a lot of times a company will get back to you because they're like, oh, it looks good. We're helping this person because it's all public now. So start there. Or you can also do what a lot of people forget to do nowadays. Pick up the phone and call some companies and just be like, hey, I'm such and such in this band. Don't give them a 10-minute speech. Just be like, I'm in this band. We tour a lot. We're looking for, we're trying to look to do a partnership deal. Who can I speak to and have a few minutes of their time in the marketing department? Who can I have? Call these companies. If you want to go after the beer companies, you don't call Budweiser, you call the distributors. If you want to go after liquor companies, you go after the regional distributors. It's, if I got a band on my roster, they're real big into skateboarding. So I'm like, well, let's call up that skateboard company. Let's see if we can work a deal. You're always on skateboards in their pictures and shit. Let's do it. Get creative.
I'm actually working on one right now. He was like, yo, do you want to help me promote these? And now it's to the point where he's like, hey, I want you to brand promote these on social media and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not gonna just pay me to film them then. You also need to pay me.
Yeah, you can get creative. And it's as far as one of my artists, they want to do a tour and they love candy and we're wanting to call it the sweetest tour ever. And I was like,
just any kind of candy or a specific
like Pop Rocks and shit like that. So trying to get we're trying to get Skittles to sponsor it to be the sweetest tour ever. I was also trying to get Skittles, get at me. So, but we were trying to do a South by Southwest showcase and call it the sweetest showcase ever, and have because I've seen promoters and a couple of friends of mine, they actually did through Sprite, and their whole showcase was through Sprite, and everyone got free Sprite at the door. You get creative. No, this is the time where anything can go viral, and brands want to get on top of that. I mean, for God's sakes, look at Wendy's. They're online trolling people, and that shit goes viral. It's so.
Yeah, just do some crazy shit. Look at that Taco Bell Illuminati fucking ad they did. everyone was like, wait, what? What is Taco Bell doing right now? Like, I gotta go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's and people are going to be like, well, what the hell are they talking about? What does this got to do with music? Again, this has to do with taking your music to the next step. It's driving that Ferrari. You know, if you have a Ferrari, you're going to want to take that Ferrari to a car wash. It's the same thing with brand marketing. You're taking your music.
You're gonna want some wheels.
Yeah.
You're gonna want some.
No, you're gonna get the oil change. You know, windshield wiper fluid. It's the same thing. Think of it as like the accessories for the car, or like guitar strings, guitar picks. It's the same thing. And no, and I'm gonna get called crazy when I say this, but really, no brand is. Everyone's everyone's an opportunity. I don't want to say target because that sounds bad, but every brand. We've reached out to some water companies because my artists.
Oh, yes. That is so smart. I mean, look at Monster. They do Monster Water for Warped Tour, or did. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I know. But as far as, you know, these companies and stuff, did you, I tell artists, okay, because Monster, you know, you don't have to go through the same company that is going through everyone else. Go through their competitors. And then that way, you know, there might be an up-and-coming energy drink, you know, that wants to compete and take down the you know, do what you can to get these brand partnerships going.
Well, just because this is a podcast and you and I are talking, this is how you build relationships, guys. Like, what I'm about to say to Nick is, so I'm trying to get in with like Dr. Pepper because I have a Dr. Pepper tattoo. And I've been trying for years. And, so like, yeah, I'm gonna pick your brain about that later.
And you know, some companies may be on board, some companies won't. You know, look at ICP and Fago. It's Fago. Like you in numerous interviews, ICP's like they won't work with us. They'll take our money. It's some brand. You know, you're gonna get told no so many times. Like when I get told no, I'm just like, okay, just take that no and throw it over there and add it to the pile of no's. It takes one yes to have something cool or some opportunity. You know, you cannot. If you have to have thick skin in this business, you do. You're gonna be told no a million times, a billion times. You just keep clawing your way to the top and keep fighting, keep scratching. So,
have you ever been screwed over by people?
Yes, artists. Yes,
tell me.
Artists. I'm not gonna name names, but
don't do that.
Okay, yeah. Artist, promoter. I mean, who hasn't? It's the music industry. You're lying if you say you haven't been screwed over in some way. Whether it be an ex-client, you know who you are. Not going to say your name right now, but you know, it is it's the music industry. There's shade. There's sharks. There's shady people, and as you get bigger and as your career grows, and I tell my artists, like, that's why you know, get your team, get your loyalty, get that together as early as possible. Get your legal together. Get your you know, get your publicity team. Get your photography. You know, get your crew. Get your home team. Your management. You know, it's one thing I teach all my managers on my staff. Like, you know, when we take on an artist, we fight for them. Like Bruce Springsteen's manager and him, they work together for like 40 years. I tell my managers, you take on an artist, you're not doing this for a year. You think long term, because like there's some of my clients, I've been with them for 6 years since day one, and I go to bat for my team. I go to bat for my artists. You have to. It's a family.
Because we do work with artists and musicians, there's a lot of mental health issues in that area of the world. And I'm sure you have some clients that are like myself, like I'm bipolar, and like sometimes I freak out about shit, you know, like, and I lost a manager because of my mental health. Like, and how do you take care of your artists while understanding that they might be going through shit all the time?
That's a good question. Yeah. I think it has to be, first I want to put this out there that, and that's a great question, but like I said, first I want to put out there that for that fear of like, oh my God, my career's tanking. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. It like, you're not the only one going through that. And it's okay to be scared. And it's okay. What's that saying? Everyone, it's okay to not be okay. And I think the one thing is, I want
hope for the day.
Yeah,
Hit me up.
shout out for that. Hey,
shout out.
Yeah,
you guys are incredible.
Yeah, they are. But I tell my artists, it's the grass is not always greener on the other side, and a lot of artists think that it is. It's very easy to be on social media and let that shit eat away of like, oh my God, look at them. They got so many views and they're doing this music video and they're in this magazine, and it's like you can have that eat away at your soul, and it can like fuck with your head. It really can. Even on the business side. So, but as far as mental health and what you're saying, there is that in the music business, and as management, I'm not going to get into details of what artists have said to me or done, but the mental health thing is there. And being as a manager, you're your client's confidant, you're their ear, shoulder to cry on. Sometimes it's just listening at 3 o'clock in the morning because they're beating themselves up. I tell my clients, my bat line to you is open 24/7. There's been times I've had to take a 4:30 in the morning phone call because a client they're so full of emotion. They just came off tour, and the next tour is not for 2 weeks. They don't know what they're going to do for the next 2 weeks, and it's like, I have to calm them down. It's like I have to be there for them. I have to be their rock, and it's that I'm sorry that you said you lost a management team because of being a manager. It's expected that you're going to have to deal with. There's a joke that musicians are crazy. It's not that musicians are crazy. They're emotional just like other people. But you got to look at it like this: artists put their blood, sweat, and tears into their art. It means a lot to them. They're going to get inside their own heads. And to me and my team, I tell them, like, we have to be there for them. We have to, sometimes we just got to, even if it's that shoulder to cry on, like, you have to be there in all capacities, whether it's just it's not just a professional relationship. It's also personable. You have to be, if they're not in their own head right, like, they might not write their next song, or hell, they might write their next song because they're full of emotions. It's just being there for someone. I care and love all my clients, even the ones that I don't manage, but they're still on the company roster. I tell everyone that my line is open to all of you. If you need someone to talk to, I don't care if it's 4:30 in the morning, call me. We're here for you, because it's part of the business. The music management does not just stop at the shows and the business side. So, but it's the mental. It's there. And it runs rampant. A lot of times after tours, there's that post-tour depression. Yeah, it's a lot of bands go through it, and a lot of bands think that they are the only ones that are going through it. You're not, and it's okay to.
It's like having PTSD.
Yes.
Like I compare it to PTSD. Like for me, like, I went on Warped Tour for the first time ever, 2017, for the whole thing, and when I got home, I didn't get home until like 4 months later. Like, I was still just like staring at toilet paper for an hour in Target, because that's what we did.
The entertainment industry, let's say that. A lot of people in this business are, it's not easy for them to be in one spot. They have to be, because your career is your life. My career is my life. Your career is your life. So when they're not doing something associated with their career, they think that they're not working, or that everything else is passing them up. That's why a lot of musicians don't really have a big network of friends at home, because they are so focused on the career. And it's not anything against someone. Maybe there are some musicians that have friendships, but I mean, everyone's got friends. But what I mean is, maybe there are some musicians that got bigger circles than others. But reason a lot of times that they push people away is because they're so musicians and entertainers, their careers are so dear to their hearts. That comes first, and it's it can be a very heavy burden when you see other bands get there. That's why I tell my artists, focus on yourself, focus on your career, have that tunnel vision. Don't, if somebody else gets a tour, who cares? That's why I try, it also helps to have management filter things, because it's I protect my clients. You have to. It's part of the business. So we just got real deep right there for a second. I love it.
We got so deep, dude. I'm just like, I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's important. I mean, look at all these artists that have, committed suicide recently. I mean, like I'm sure their managers, saw that, more so than their families or their friends or the other band members even,
I couldn't even imagine. I'm so close with my clients. I'm so close with my team. I've only ever had, I've had a few close calls in my music career, and we talked to such individuals and got them the help they needed. But for the teams out there, for the teams out there that have lost people, I can't, and then to them it came out of left field, and I can't imagine how bad it would hurt them, and how that loss. I can't even fathom. It's the psychological, and the mentality, and the mental health thing. It's real in the entertainment industry, and it's a big thing. So, but talking to people, reaching out, and not only that, I tell other managers, sometimes, I'm not saying that this would prevent it or have prevented, but what I'm saying is, sometimes you got to ask your artists, hey, what's going on? You seem different. You have to take that initiative to ask them. Again, I'm not saying that would have prevented any tragic thing that's happened in the music industry, but you have to. On the business side, I look at it as it's our responsibility to be there for our artists. Again, you can't control what they do, but you have to be there for them. Sometimes I see bands do. All right, let's tone down the seriousness a little bit. Well, that's still a little bit serious, but let's say an artist, they tweet something crazy, or they start they start talking shit on a hot topic, or they
okay,
and there's a backlash. I look at it as where's the manager on that? How come, I tell my clients, if you get a little bit of rage about something and you feel like you want to put something public, not to saying you shouldn't voice your opinion, but in this day and age, what you say, there are repercussions, there are backlashes, so sometimes when an artist acts crazy and they talk some shit on certain subjects or issues, first thing I look at, and then that artist gets in trouble or dropped by a label, first thing I say is where was the manager on that one? How come they didn't? But at the end of the day, I guess what I'm getting at with all this is, have a team that's there for you. Have a team that cares and they believe in the same, and is not just, they care about you, and they care about your art, and they care about, your career as a whole. And that involves, your career not only just involves your music, it involves your personal well-being as well. That's what I say look for in a good management. So.
All right, last question. What is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh my God. Let me think. What do I know now that I wish I knew when I started? There's a few things. Can I say a few things? Okay,
yeah, of course.
Things take time. They don't happen overnight. Be weary of people, and because they say they have good intentions, they may not. Don't just dive into something with somebody you just met, or someone who has a great idea, or they come off as they having a good well-being or good intentions. do a little bit of digging. Don't just get into bed with someone business wise very quickly. And have a good lawyer. So,
Well, let's talk about that real quick. How do you find a good music lawyer?
okay.
Because I mean, again, like you need someone that's good but affordable when you start out, you know? Slash, can you get a sponsorship brand deal with a lawyer, with a law firm?
Oh, God.
Hey, thanks for being my legal team. Fucking whatever.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Well, you just like sparked some ideas. I'm like, I wonder if I could do this.
I know. I'm like, hey. I mean, why not? Why not?
I'd ask her, ask around who's being rep by. Again, I'm not saying that the music industry is so dirty and whatnot that you need this white knight legal team protecting you going into battle. I'm just saying it helps to like, it helps, like, say you get a contract or something or an agreement, it helps to like send it over to them. Hey, can you take a look at this? Have my back. So, but it's find one.
Because people like to hide shit.
Yeah, they do. Oh God,
guys.
they do. Especially,
yeah,
they do.
Like labels, we could talk about labels. We could talk about Victory Records. We could talk about, like 30 Seconds to Mars went through there.
Yeah, it's a business. So with, unfortunate, there are some shady deals. But I guess with that being said, is like I always tell artists, you don't know what happened behind the scenes with legal or this or that. It's like it's people post on social media and they tend to take sides and whatnot. A lot of times, I tell my clients and even clients I'm talking to, get a lawyer and read that legal, like read that document, go through with a fine tooth comb. If there's something in your gut that you have to protect yourself. You have to protect it. You put so much effort into your art. You don't need to be worrying about your team and everything else that goes into your career. Because you need to have everyone have your best interest. So, and yeah, it can be overwhelming. Like I think you have one more editor for you, but like you're on your own, right? As far as
what do you mean, like for like editing videos?
Yeah, but like I guess talk to me about your team. So is it just?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, so for me, for like my video stuff, like it's literally just me. Like my YouTube stuff, like I'm filming, editing, everything, like photography,
on top of your
everything,
music
like
and everything,
on top of my music, on top of like whatever else I do. But for like my music, like Chasing Satellites, it's just me.
Yeah.
Like it's just me. But for example, I had my friend Eric. He helped me write all the songs, and then I also had like Lauren Babbitt came in and helped me write one of the songs, and then I also had like I had all these people that were behind me and helped with like the instrumentals and like helped put it together.
But at the end of the day, you're organizing all that, and you're
exactly. Yeah. And I thought of it as a practical way because like I know I don't have time to go tour. I don't have time to practice with a band. I don't have time I don't have time or the financial stability to be able to split that among people, other than with royalties, like, for my writers.
Yeah. Do you want to tour?
Of course I want to tour. And I mean, I talked to John Feldman actually about it, because I told him like, I'm putting this album out. I'd love to know your opinion. And the first thing he said was, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to tour? And I told him, I was like, well, not right now.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had so much like video stuff and like photography gigs, all that kind of stuff. So I don't have time to tour because I know that it would also take practice time. It would also take, all these other steps that I haven't done in a long time.
Oh yeah. And because I'm not a musician by any means, but I understand, artists can get rusty at their craft on stage, and it's, you want your show to be tight, you want it to be, but sounds like you need a team. Not pitching myself.
I mean, I need a team. Well, let's talk about you pitching yourself real quick as we wrap this up. because I want to ask, like, how do people find you, approach you, make a relationship with you? Like, what are your rates? Like, how does that work with like management? Like, how do you rate your time or whatever?
So as far as, let's say we get about 200 demos a week. I've got a phone.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you listen to every one of them?
I try.
Do you, okay, wait, do you have preference over, because I do, and this is why my album art is so bright and like, just like, you know, graphically, like just visually dope, because when I was growing up, I used to go on like, like torrent sites or like MP3 Boo to like download my music, you know, like, because I fucking pirated shit, because that's what we all did in the 90s, because we were assholes. But I always looked for like the flashiest album art, like the coolest album art, because it's like you have to judge a book by its cover sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. But as far as, so we get a lot of demos. I'm blessed that we do. Usually we have a pretty good reputation, so it's artists that are going on tour with other artists, and they're like, hey, we need, or like sometimes one of my clients will go on a tour and they'll see that I'm on like every day talking to my artists, like what's going on, and like some of the artists on the package will say, I haven't heard from my manager the entire time. What's your manager about? Like, talk to me about Mishko. And I don't poach. I don't do it. I'm a very honest person. I'm very, you know, what you see is what you get. What you see on here, on the phone, Facebook, you know, that's, you want to talk about something that pisses me off, is that it's people that are what you see on social media, and then they're a totally different person face to face. It's that shit drives me crazy. It's very rampant in the music industry. But as far as, you know, we've done deals with websites. We've done deals with, you know, submit your music. A lot of, you know, we post about it, and you go to 10and8management.com, and you go under contact, and there's a demo submission, and we have a little form to, you fill it out and just tell us about yourself. It's almost like submitting a resume, but I've had to do that.
It's exactly like submitting a resume, actually.
Yeah. And the reason why I've had to do that is because there will be, you know, not to sound like, but like in the old days, like a band would send their music to me. I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. And then you come to find out that like the guitarist is in 4 other bands. They don't own a van, and like the lead singer's got 4 kids. And nothing about, you know, I'm a family man myself, but like there's certain things that are going to prevent you from, you know, if you're in 4 other bands, or if you don't even have a tour van, like you want a tour, but you don't have a tour van. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, it's, so I asked some basic questions, like, you know, when's the last, do you want a tour? A big red flag is when they say, oh yeah, if like Bring Me the Horizon calls, of course, who doesn't want to open for Bring Me or Black Veil Brides? Right?
What the fuck? Dude, Bring Me the Horizon has busted out of the scene so hard. I love them, and I'm so proud of them. Oh my God. They are just killing it forever.
You know, I use that to kind of like feel out a band before like we give them a call. But I tell my team, good music, because that, like, promotion, social media, all that stuff, you can work on that stuff. You can polish that stuff. But if they suck, like you can't fix shitty music. I mean, maybe you can. You can. I mean, people will argue there's certain.
You can only polish a turd. So
Yeah, you said it. There you go. It's you know, because I don't believe, and I catch a lot of flack in this. They're like, oh, you take on a lot of risks. I'm a big fan of my entire roster. I believe in good music. That's what I believe in. At the end of the day, you know, Mike Mowry gave me a little piece of advice at this last launch music conference. He's like, you don't count the bands, you make the bands count. And that's 100% true. Yeah, shout out to Mike Mowry. Good man. So it's, too many people write off bands. They're like, oh, this band's only got so many Facebook likes. Like, did you listen? I call it the Susan Boyle effect too. Like, when you, like, do you remember when she was on, what was it, American Idol or The Voice? I can't, you know, people thought, Yeah, and they're like, when she came out on stage, she had this voice of an angel, this amazing voice, and I tell my artists, you know, when it's, or I mean, I tell my team like when you listen to demos, like have the music in the background. Don't look at like what because if you see someone, you're gonna automatically think that they sound like this, and they could sound like this. Don't if you're listening to a demo, put it in the background, or don't look at what the person listen to this, listen to it. Well, put your cell phone down. Do what they used to do back in the day, like when they used to put a record on and listen to music. Listen to this artist. Like, is this somebody you would go to bat for? Do they kick ass? Now, with that being said, a kick-ass artist and a lazy artist, two different things. Because you can have a great artist that is fucking lazy. They just don't want to do anything. They don't want to do even social media. They don't want to practice. They don't want. That's why we have the forums to kind of, or if I get on the phone with someone and they've never even done a hometown show and they're like, I want to open up for like Taylor Swift or 21 Pilots. I'm like, they have an unrealistic expectation and they're going to be a handful. And if they're a handful at such a little level, they're going to be a handful when there's more zeros in the paycheck. So, yeah. But as far as how our team looks for musicians, they got to be good. Got to want to work and they got to be good. I don't, there's some genres I like working with. For a while there, I got cornered into a metal Warped Tour band corner, but like I've got pop, I've got country, I've got post-hardcore, I've got alternative rock, a little bit of everything. Because this is the music industry, it's not the genre industry. I'll work with a polka band if they kick ass and they do great videos and they want to work. But yeah, that's pretty much what we look for. So.
Yeah, and how do we rate you? Like, what are your rates? Like, how do you get paid?
So we get paid off of, there's the commission base as far as like, deals. It's just like with the promoters, or not the promoters, the agents, a cut of what the artists do. That's why, we're focusing a lot on sync deals, because if there's a $100,000 sync deal, 15% off that, and like it's gonna be a nice Christmas, I just bought a house. It's a couple mortgage payments, so it's more than a couple. So it's, but yeah, it's not only that. I see a lot of managers, and I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but they only focus on touring. It's so much more than that. Artists get paid on, there's the royalties, there's the merch, there's the touring, there's the sync deals, brand partnerships. It's knowing how to align those to keep the ship floating, to keep the ship going. Making sure that they have their merch store, making sure orders are fulfilled. You just can't be taking fans' money and not fulfilling orders. Like, it's a lot. So
I'm literally going to ship out CDs like right after this. Like, ship your shit.
Yeah. And if you can't have a third party, because I hate like there was one time one of my clients, they did sunglasses, and I had to ship like 31 pairs to like all these people in like Norway and Europe and like all these different countries, and I had to fill out the paper. It took me like 4 hours to fill out all the paperwork. So try to get like a third party. Again, get your team right, even if it's someone fulfilling merch orders, and you give them a little cut of that. There's most people, if they believe in the same thing that you do, and you can work out some kind of deal, like you can build a very strong team. So
just delegate everything.
Yeah.
And I need to do that, because I mean, like, I'm doing this all by like all the promos, all the marketing, all the fucking camera. Music videos. Yeah. We'll talk off camera. But dude, literally, you guys have no excuses. For example, I put out a song called Fireproof. I literally took my tripod out into Anaheim Hills after one of the fires and set my tripod up in 3 different places and filmed myself do the fucking song. Yeah. Like, you don't need anybody, but like, it's really fucking helpful to have them.
Yeah. Because at the same time, like someone, like even to do, God, like, so like 10and8management, like I run a majority of our social media, and it takes like, this is like, making sure that it's posted on, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Instagram Live. Yeah, like it's
YouTube, everything.
Yeah. And then the teasers, making sure the links are right hashtag. Oh shit, I spelled something wrong. And I copy paste that on the 6 other websites. It's like, and then making sure the press release goes out. It's like, it takes some time, it does. A lot of people, it's more than just sitting behind a computer. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. That's why I don't knock anyone hustling. I don't knock anyone. I get it. It is a lot of hard work. I wish it was just all about the music and you put it out there and they come, but it's not that easy. So, but with that being said, don't let that hinder you from chasing your dreams and achieving big shit. You can do it.
Also, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a lot it could be stressful. It could be at the same time. I'm blessed to be able to work in the music industry. This is fun. I love doing this shit every fucking day. I love it. I live and breathe this stuff. You saw me at Launch Music Conference. I even love being the face to face. I live and breathe this stuff, and to be able to do it as a career, I'm blessed, and I have a great artist roster, and I'm blessed that they, it's just, things don't happen overnight. You got to work hard, and they will come.
Hey, well, thank you so much for being on this podcast and taking an hour and 21 minutes. This is the longest podcast, but it's so important. So important. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. And yeah, if the next one we'll have to do it face to face on like a rooftop or something like that. So
we'll do it. Courtesy of Spirit Airlines.
There you go. Or might have something else in the works.
Or whoever. Like Tesla deal. Yeah. I'll drive a Tesla across the country. Fuck it.
There we go. So.
But like for real, that'd be tight. Well, I definitely am glad that I did this podcast because the things that I learned in this are invaluable. You can't learn these from, just uploading your music to Sounddrop or wherever you distribute your music through. These are the things that are really important. It's important to get your branding online in order. It's important that you market yourself properly. So, Nick, thank you for being on this podcast. It has literally changed the way that I've looked at everything I do. And if you guys want to get in touch with Nick about whether you want to get management or you want to pick his brain, you can hit him up at 10and8management on Instagram, or you can head to the website. I'll put all the links down below, all the important stuff down below. Thank you guys for checking out this week's episode of Project Freelance. Go pick up your copy of Chasing Satellites album Split if you're interested. And I will talk to you guys next week on this podcast. This has been Project Freelance. Go out and go create something. Remember, capture every moment, guys.